Hello, I'm Katherine Bergman. I'm a florist and avid gardener with over 30 years experience designing weddings and events. Welcome to my channel where I share professional tips and techniques for creating beautiful and extraordinary flower arrangements with you each week. Today we're going to create this beautiful arrangement of floating meadow of flowers inspired by a new mechanic I found on Amazon. So are you ready to make something gorgeous with me? Let's get started. So today's video is inspired by a really cool new mechanic I bought on Amazon. It is from the Hanataba company. It's a Hanatama original and you can buy it on Amazon. They have their own website, but they steer you to Amazon because of tariffs. It's a Japanese product. Now, basically it's a Kenzan in a ring and it's a clear ring. Doesn't look like much and it's, I think, $32, $33, something like that on Amazon. But it makes spectacular sort of floating, airy, and light arrangements, and it's super easy to use. So I wanted to show you something that's not foam, reusable, that would be a very, very useful thing to have in your florist toolkit. And the way I envision this arrangement is something airy, light, sort of modern, kind of a floating arrangement, like a floating meadow is what I was thinking of. And instead of using foam and greening in like we usually do, we're going to use clear, low, shallow tray like this. You don't have to get a tray this big. This is a giant, like pizza size one that I happen to have. You could go a little smaller, or even like the lily bowls would work. Okay. And I was playing around with this mechanic this morning, and lo and behold, I found out that my big bowl here, the center is not totally flat. It's a little bit convex. And so the ring doesn't sit properly in there, so it's not balanced. So to solve that problem, I'm just putting in there a very low acrylic dish that I have. And then we're going to place the ring in the center of the dish. Now, if you have a glass bowl like this, just run your finger along the bottom of it. Sometimes there'll be like little dips and divots because of the way the glass was blown. So just check that out before you put your ring in, because if the ring is on something that's not stable, your arrangement is not going to be stable. So I have the ring in here in the shallow acrylic tray within this. And this tray is almost invisible within this larger tray, so I think we're good. I will definitely link in the description below where to get this on Amazon. It's, I think, $32 or $33. Kind of expensive, but worth it because you can reuse it and reuse it. And once you see how we're going to use it today, you're going to want one. The flowers we're going to use today are what I call sort of meadow flowers. I have long stems of blue delphinium and beautiful Queen Anne's lace, some orleia, kind of like wildflowery, wispy kind of arranged flowers. And for a little bit of color, we have these peachy pink ranunculus and some white anemones. And to accent all this and add more to this pastel palette, I have here pink and yellow lisianthus and pink belladonna delphinium. And they're all sort of wispy and willowy kind of flowers, nothing with a big heavy head, no giant Ecuadorian roses or peonies and things like that. We have our ring placed within the acrylic dish, and now we can add some water. If you're going to transport this arrangement to your living room or kitchen table or dining table, or wherever you're going to use this, I would say don't put too much water in. Maybe just put water in the internal ring of the acrylic dish, or just put a little bit of water while you're arranging, and then fill the rest up when you have placed this in the situation it's going to stay. Because something with a wide open mouth like this is very hard to transport. It'll slosh around, right? So I'm just going to put some water right now in the inner acrylic tray. Okay, and then we're going to start arranging. I'm going to start with my longest, tallest stems first. I've got beautiful blue delphinium, and I'm going to cut the stem a little bit and dip it in my quick dip. You guys know about this product I talk about every week. It's called Floral Life Quick Dip. It helps your flowers hydrate better. I put a little bit in here, like a couple of inches, dip it in there for a second or so, and then you can arrange your flowers. And it really helps make your arrangements last a long time. So those of you who have not used a Kenzan, you basically just stick your stem within the little needles. Okay? Now, I've been told by real Ikebana masters that you actually are trying to stick your stems in between the, you're not trying to impale it on the little needles, but sticking it in between the needles. Now, the what is this called? Hanataba ring is a little different than a traditional Kenzan. The little spikes are really close together, so I think it's meant for us to impale the stems directly onto the little needles, okay? So I'm just gonna stick them in here, and I'm working with the tallest, most dramatic lines first, so we wanna make sure they're spaced well. Okay. It's always fun to discover a new way to arrange flowers, and this is kind of a very new way for me, because I often like these wispy, meadowy flowers, but then how do we arrange it and have them stay upright so that they look like they're growing instead of, in an arrangement? So this ring has been a really great thing. Kind of fun to use too, and you could use it for lots of different things. Okay, now I'm going to add in some of the Queen Anne's lace. And you don't need a lot of flowers for this. And it might be one of those things that, will work well with like a mixed bouquet you pick up from the grocery store. It's a new and interesting way to display the stems instead of just plopping in a vase, which you guys know, I'm always teaching you to think outside the vase, right? And do something different. This is also a great way to make a very modern and large arrangement without a ton of flowers. Okay. So it's great. See how these stems are staying perfectly upright? Now I'm going to add in some of the ranunculus. I love ranunculus. I love the colors. I love how, the little necks kind of bend just a little bit. So for this kind of an arrangement, I would go with flowers that have nice straight and stems. And nothing too heavy, no big, Ecuadorian roses with heavy heads. Something light and willowy and with stems that are sort of upright. I would think this would last a long time too, because you don't have a lot of water rotting your stems. Even though it's not in deep water, you're going to have enough water to keep the stems hydrated. And there won't be any rot because everything is sort of exposed. So you're going to have a lot of airflow within your arrangement. So that's what we have right now. Add some more of the ranunculus in. And you could cut it a little bit more so they could be on different levels, a few longer, a few shorter. I think having the layered height for this arrangement is good, or you can do different materials at different heights. Like this one's a little bit shorter. And I think this Kenzan ring is going to be really, really a game changer for your garden grown flowers too. If you have just a few stems, you could probably make a really nice arrangement. And of course, you can do the colors that speak to you. I just thought this style, all this clear water and glass, just really lends itself to a light, airy palette. And I kind of gravitate towards these colors. I love these peachy blush colors, and I love pale blue. So these are kind of my colors. Okay. Let's add some of these pretty anemones. I think poppies would probably work in here, although I don't know if the stems are too skinny. This one's like kind of sticking out a lot. Maybe just, I'll turn it a little bit like that. Love anemones. Really popular in wedding work for the last, I would say, 10 years. They've been popular. Okay. This arrangement is also very on trend with like sort of the more natural, gathered or, wildflower looking aesthetic. That's been popular for the last few years. Okay, so that's what we have. We have most of the flowers added. I found some really gorgeous yellow lisianthus that has it's like a frilly lisianthus, had kind of a frilly edge. So I'm going to add some of that in there. I think that little bit of pale yellow would be really nice in this arrangement. Now, if you find your flower is flopping over a little too much, you cut it a little bit shorter and change like the angle. There we go. Oh, this one fell over. That's because the anemones have a hollow stem, and that split when I put it onto the little needles of this ring. Adding in the yellow, more of the yellow lisianthus. So I find that it's easier just to add one type of flower at a time. That helps you space it out kind of in a logical way. Okay. Then we have some pale pink lisianthus to add to this arrangement. Lizzie works well because it is a lightweight flower with a nice sturdy straight stem. Add a little bit of this pale blushy pink. Okay. Then we have a couple stems of this really pretty material that's sort of new at the market. It's like a really small delphinium. It's a belladonna delphinium in pale pink. Now in the past, delphinium's been white, blue, dark blue, light blue, lavender. I haven't seen the pink. Now, delphinium is in the larkspur family, so there's of course pink larkspur. This almost looks like a cross between a belladonna delphinium and a larkspur, and I think it's just so pretty, like a little wildflower looking material. And the stems are kind of short and small, but they're wispy and pretty, and they look like they'll last a long time, and they're very upright and easy to use. So I'm just adding a little bit of this here and there to kind of fill in our arrangement between the skinny stems that are just upright. Okay, we've added in our delphinium, and I have a few stems of Orlea, which I love. It's almost like a cross between a scabiosa and Queen Anne's lace. And the foliage looks like parsley. Very long lasting. I grow this in the garden. And you just have to buy the seeds 1 year because you'll get tons of seeds that you can collect in like August, September to plant in the spring. Reminds me I need to plant my Orlea seeds. See how light and feathery it looks in this arrangement? Okay, I think we're done adding all the flowers in here. You see how we started out as a ring, but it just looks kind of like an upright meadow of flowers. Very, very pretty, right? Okay. What I'm going to do now is add water to the outer bowl. Just fill up the inner and outer bowls with water. So I've added water to the inner bowl and the outer bowl. And I thought, you know what would be really pretty to emphasize that water is just to float a few florets in there. So I have a little bowl of florets that I pulled from the delphinium and other flowers in these colors. And I'm just going to float a few of these in here. The lower bracts of the delphinium, sometimes the flowers will come off, and they're really pretty and they last. If you float them, they'll last. So I'm just floating a few heads of flowers in here. Some of the little buds from the Orlea for that little bit of green. And I pulled a few pink florets off of a snapdragon. Some white florets from stock. Just kind of toss them in there, you know, whatever you like. You can probably toss in some pansies maybe from the garden, but I thought it makes more sense if I put flowers in here in colors that echo what we have up here, instead of, you know, like things from the garden that you didn't use in your arrangement. Okay. And that's a very easy to do arrangement that's really spectacular, not something you see every day. So we're all done. Our floating meadow of flowers. So I hope this Hanatapa ring has inspired you to create something fabulous. Thank you for joining me here today to create this beautiful and fun floating meadow of flowers. I love hearing from my loyal viewers each week, so please leave me a comment below to let me know what you're doing this week. And share with your fellow flower lovers in the community section the beautiful arrangements you've been making. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and join me here again. New designs and floral inspirations are always on the way, so click the little bell to be notified when I post a new video. So until next time, remember, flowers are nature's little luxury, and I will see you in my next video.